Hi, I'm Sophie Thompson, and this is one of a series of videos dedicated for any gardener who's been impacted by the devastating fires across our country over summer. I'm an obsessive compulsive gardener and I am totally biased, but I genuinely believe that gardens are the solution to everything we face, especially at these particularly stressful times. While I haven't personally lost a garden, there have been times in my life when I've been removed from my garden, and I know how impactful that is in a negative way. So this gardening video is designed to give people hope and remind them how important gardens are and how important it is to connect with your garden. Over the last couple of months, I've talked with a number of gardeners who either had their whole gardens burnt or part of their gardens burnt, and some have even shared with me that losing their garden was more devastating than losing their home. I think it's really important to acknowledge how significant our gardens are, if you're a gardener, to our health and well-being, and they can help us create a sense of normality when we're searching for one. Our gardens have long been regarded as a place of sanctuary, and in terms of our personal health and well-being, gardens and gardening impact us in 4 key areas of our life. They give us the opportunity of exercise, they give us a place to relax, they're really important for our health and well-being, both physically and mentally. And finally, they provide us with optimal nutrition when we grow at least part of our own fruits, veggies and herbs. In terms of exercise is really important to help us reduce our cortisol levels. Cortisol is that hormone that runs through our body during times of stress. It's what gives us the sweaty palms, the sense of anxiety, and a whole lot of other symptoms, and it can actually lead to depression. So actually being out and doing something physical in your garden is helping to reduce that and make you feel better. We know that gardening is really important to work all our major muscle groups. It's low impact exercise, and when we do it properly, it's really therapeutic. Our gardens can be our sanctuary from our fast-paced, crazy lives. And especially at the moment, with all the uncertainty out there and angst, it's really important to have a place to go where you can actually relax. If you visualize yourself at the end of a tough day, or even visualize yourself after you've been tuned into the news, and then you imagine yourself in a beautiful garden, you'll actually feel your shoulders drop. And if you take a deep breath in that space, you'll feel the weight of the world start to slip away from your shoulders. So it's really important during times of stress that we have a way to manage our stress. And just being in a garden, being in nature or gardening helps us do that. And if you're mindful and you take time to acknowledge what's going on around you, whether it's looking at a bee or a butterfly or listening to birdsong or just taking in the calm of nature, and if we take a deep breath in that state, you'll actually feel your heart rate calming down. The sad fact is that a recent study showed that 51% of Australians use social media as a way to manage their stress. Does that help? I don't think so. I think that adds to the anxiety, depression, and it makes everything worse. So let's take some time out to be in a garden, to acknowledge nature around us, and you will feel better. Now, in terms of stress, if we don't have a way to manage our stress, and it's cumulative, if we don't have a way to drop that cortisol that's running through our bodies and it builds up, we will end up with either physical or mental health problems. And so gardening has been proven not only to help us manage our stress before it becomes a problem, but if it does become a problem, gardening can also help too. There was a study done in Norway where they took patients with moderate to severe depression and they got them to do a 3-month horticultural course. At the end of the 3 months, all patients had experienced reduced symptoms. There are numerous health and well-being benefits from gardening too. In terms of our physical health and well-being, it helps to reduce our stress hormones, it lowers our blood pressure, and actually being out and getting your hands in the soil is really important too. In healthy organic enriched soil, there's one particular Mycobacterium vaccae, which when we ingest it, we actually find that it triggers serotonin release in our brain. So it's like our own happy pill. The amazing thing is when you have your own garden or access to a garden, you can self-medicate and you can't overdose. So if you've ever said or heard someone else say, "I feel so good when I get my hands into the soil," it's actually now scientifically proven. It's all about getting exposure to that amazing microbiome. Other benefits of being outside and gardening include getting a dose of sunshine. Well, you can't have too much. We need some sunshine to get vitamin D manufactured within our bodies. And a lack of vitamin D has all sorts of consequences, from osteoporosis to depression. So it's really important to acknowledge that a little bit of sunshine outside in your garden is really therapeutic. Another benefit of gardens is that we have the opportunity to grow our own produce. And not only does it taste better and you know what went into it, the fact that there are no chemicals on it, but eating your own produce, I reckon, triggers serotonin release and makes us feel better too. Gardening is an act of optimism. The simple act of planting a seed is awesome. It's life-affirming. When you plant that seed, you know that in time that seed will germinate and things will grow. Audrey Hepburn said, "To plant a garden is to believe in tomorrow." So whether you were directly impacted by the fires or you're assisting someone in the regrowth process, I think it's really important to acknowledge how important gardens are for our physical and mental health and well-being. And if you did lose your garden, and possibly even you're feeling some of what we call survivor guilt, you know, your neighbour may have lost a house and yet you're feeling grieved at having lost your garden. It's important to acknowledge that your garden was your sanctuary. It was your place of refuge. It was your ability to be able to manage your stress levels and be mindful. And let's try and reconnect with gardens, gardening and nature and help this recovery process.